Well, ANC NEC member Naledi Pandor has called on South Africans to come out in their numbers to vaccinate against COVID-19. She was speaking in Mfuleni on the Cape Flats, where she was campaigning for the party, and this is, of course, leading up to those elections. She says failure to vaccinate in numbers will prolong the lockdown and plunge people into even further poverty. Well, she joins us now. Minister Pandor, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time tonight. I suppose for a lot of people, given where the country is at right now, and one just has to look at this past week and the revelations of that SIU report that, of course, painted a very grim picture of what's been happening in the Department of Health and how funds were looted there. Generally, for many people, they see it as a reflection of how the ANC has been operating, not just at a national level, but even at a local government level. So the party finds itself in a situation where it becomes a hard sell when people are pointing to practical evidence and instances of where money has gone into personal interest rather than into furthering delivery for them and making their lives better. How do you even begin to contest that when you're on the campaign trail? I imagine it's something you've experienced, so perhaps you can tell us about what your experience has been.
Good evening, Kathy, and good evening to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. The matter of malfeasance and corruption in South Africa is certainly an issue of concern in communities that I've interacted with. Many community members in public meetings or house meetings, as well as when I go to their homes door to door, do indicate disgust at the evidence of corruption that they see exhibited by some individuals in government and in political parties. They have, however, expressed appreciation and acknowledgement of the action that is being taken by President Ramaphosa in responding to corruption in the public sphere. They have called for more action with respect to the private sector, but also want very, very strict attention to the conduct of public representatives in the local government sphere.
Local government in itself always presents multiple challenges that could be slightly different. You know, the fact is, generally you're dealing with a history of lower turnout in terms of numbers, but also people tend to believe that withholding their vote for a particular ward councillor means that they are either sending a message to the ANC that they are not satisfied with the candidates that they've put up, or that they simply don't believe that the process in and of itself has the ability to change their minds. What do you say to those people?
Well, there are many community members who fit the profile that you have described, but there are also thousands more who believe that we must exercise our democratic rights. So it's a matter of continuing discussion. It's a matter of explaining the importance of local government and also the need to ensure that you're represented. I've also been urging communities to take the notion of working together that is in the ANC manifesto as a very serious undertaking, and to ensure that that partnership between community and local public representatives is developed. Furthermore, a lot of them were saying they want to see what they see during the campaign, which is national, provincial, and local working together, and they would want it to be part of the local development process.
Of course, as you were speaking to communities and your messaging was mostly around vaccines, we've seen in some sectors of society not just strong opposition to getting vaccinated, but people, even some of those who are vaccinated, strongly opposing this idea of vaccine passports. So what position currently are we or are you as government taking to the issue of these vaccine passports?
The Minister of Health indicated, I think, a week ago that there has been no determination. I personally don't like the term passport, because a passport is for international travel. What I think we should be speaking of is a vaccine certificate, and I fully support the approach of developing a QR-coded certificate, which would be reposed in our mobile telephones, because I think that's a very important step. I saw it working very well recently in Germany. What it does is it allows easy access. It's a very simple way and quick of proving that you are indeed vaccinated. And I think all South Africans now know that what we're dealing with is a communicable disease, and that we can infect each other. And what we want to do is avoid more infections. And should we become infected, we wish to avoid a situation where persons become very ill, critical, and then lose their lives. The vaccines have been through a rigorous process of assessment by our Health Products Authority. They are confirmed as safe, and I, with many others, encourage South Africans to agree to be vaccinated. I think it's very important. It's a pity that there is fake news out there, and that people are taking this fake news seriously. Many South Africans have lost family members. They've seen the effect of this pandemic. It's most terrible in its impact. It's harming our economy. We would like to get to a point where the economy can open, where people can have access to jobs. For example, tourism is a critical sector. Tourists will be reluctant to come to South Africa if we're not vaccinated at a level that offers assurance to the rest of the world that they will find safety when they come here. So it means our hotels remain closed, more and more of them close down and are liquidated, restaurants, retail stores. So we have to be vaccinated to begin to grow the economy, to have more opportunities for people that need jobs. It's so, I think, basically sensible that I can't understand this opposition to vaccines. I understand the fear, but I don't think it's something that we should be on the streets about, because that's really, I believe, quite dishonest.
Are you expecting that when countries like the UK open up to South Africa, there will be a certain level of scrutiny that is perhaps given to people that are coming from these lists that have been previously on the red list effectively?
Well, I anticipate that they certainly will ask whether you're vaccinated, and they will want a proof of that. We have the standard card that is issued when you're vaccinated. I think the move that we're making toward a QR-coded certificate is again something most countries are implementing. South Africa has the ability to meet all world standards, and countries will ask, they'll want to see, could we have proof? Should you not be able to prove, I think you'd have to undergo those discomforts of quarantine, of regular testing, and so on. So vaccinating actually helps to ease your path as you travel worldwide.
Are there easy ways to verify the validity of this form? Because again, and I call it a form, but of the card, you know, the little booklet that you're given when you do vaccinate. Because already we're seeing some people say that, you know, they'll be willing to buy that card from somebody who's vaccinated because they don't want to get vaccinated, or that it could be, you know, easily reproducible, and you could have fake certificates doing the rounds. We saw fake COVID-19 certificates, so it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, and we do live in South Africa after all. There tends to be a lot of creativity around these issues.
Well, I don't think it's creativity, it's dishonesty. And one of the things we need to discourage in our country is dishonesty. Because to be dishonest is really not something that we should seem to exude any pride in. When you produce your vaccine certificate, it is going to be part of an electronic data verification, and countries will be able to check your certificate against a South African electronic database. They then will be able to check batch numbers. The batch numbers come from the manufacturers. Each certificate will have the name of the manufacturer, the batch number, and the dates associated with that batch. So indeed, there will be an ability to check. You also will have a passport when you travel, so that's an added measure. I think that countries have now developed the systems to be able to assess whether what you have is something that will withstand scrutiny and whether it's an honest reflection of your situation. And I would hazard that should you be found to be dishonest and you're standing at Heathrow Airport, you may find yourself in a very unpleasant situation.
Minister Pandor, given the talks that you are having with some of your counterparts, is it a given that South Africa will absolutely be taken off the UK's red list this coming week?
Well, let's allow the UK to make its announcements. We've had very good discussions. President last week with Prime Minister Boris Johnson. I spoke yesterday to Secretary Truss, and before that, Secretary Raab and various ministers. So these discussions have been ongoing. The sentiments I'm getting are very positive, but let's wait for their scientists, because it's not their government that actually decides. They provide advice, scientists rather provide advice to government, and government makes the announcement.
ANC NEC member Naledi Pandor, let me thank you so much for your time tonight.